We just finished the corner traps in the last video, and in this video we are going to get ceiling panels on the ceiling. So the first thing we are going to do is measure the width of this and then see how big our ceiling panels need to be. The width of the room, 375. Minus 42, minus 84. Can't believe we need a calculator for this. If we make the panels 60 wide, 120, we get a gap of 18 centimeters on the sides. That is 18 centimeters. Alternatively, I could make them 64 wide, because then we don't have to cut any of the insulation material, because that is always 60 wide. So with 64, because these planks are 2, you just cut 60 wide, these right on top of them, slide in the acoustic material, and then we've got a 64 panel. So we are on 128, but then we only have 10 centimeters. I think it's not going to be enough for me to nicely be able to mount stuff. Maybe we're going for 62. I didn't bring my laptop, so I can't show you the design, but we're skipping now to me talking about the design. The design I have in my mind is this one, so it's really nice that we can see it from the top of the room. So we've got these panels over here, they're all going to be 200 centimeters long, and we've got a row of 4 and then 3 times throughout the room. So 12 panels in total, and they are going to be slightly at different heights. So the ones in the middle are going to be 5 centimeters lower than the ones on the outer left and right, because then in the middle I get more absorption, because I can hang the panels a little bit lower, and I thought it was a cooler design. So you see that this is slightly lower than the rest, and then we get a gap over here, a gap over here, and a gap over here. And I can also continue that ceiling from the back of the room all the way to the front of the room. It is going to be a little bit of a tricky design, as you just hopefully saw. Basically, ceiling panels that go in an angle over here, so we get more trapping like that. And then here I want to place panels of 20 centimeters deep. That will be 2 meters, and then maybe we leave a little bit of a gap, but ideally, design-wise, I would get them like snug as almost one row, then 2 meters and 2 meters. The only thing I need to check is if that's actually going to fit. Okay, so we've got 690. So a 2 meter panel plus the 20 centimeter panel is going to stop right here, right behind the sweet spot. And then a 2 meter panel is going right there. Rear wall is going to be until this tape over here. So if we grab that, we've got about 15 centimeters of play. Might be too much. We could choose to do like a 5 centimeter gap, a 5 centimeter gap, and a 5 centimeter gap. I just have to lay them out on the floor and then see what we're going for. Bow. We decided on 62 centimeters, so we'll just cut 8, 16, 32, 48 planks of 2 meters. If you want to make these panels yourself, this is not a job I would personally do with a handsaw. So a good miter saw is a must. It doesn't have to be this fancy Festool one I'm using over here. Normally, I actually use my €250 Metabo one, which works absolutely fine for this work. Okay, that's all the long ones, the 2 meter ones. And then these all need to go to 62 centimeters. Right now they are 69 centimeters. So we need to take off 7 centimeters over here. If only I knew back then, I was about to make a big mistake. Unfortunately, I just found out during the edit of this video, but I guess later in this video you will see the end result of me making this mistake. And here you see me make the same exact mistake 80 times, over and over again. And then on to 30 pieces of 20 centimeters. Here I'm using a trick I learned from one of the guys over here. I'm clamping a piece of wood to the miter saw at exactly 20 centimeters from the blade. This way I don't have to re-measure every time I need to cut a piece of wood, and I can actually slide it over and the blade will be at exactly 20 centimeters from that stop block. And then you end up with a big pile of wood.
time to screw everything into the frames we need for the ceiling panels. Oh, and always remember to pre-drill because we don't want to split the wood and have to recut something.
So we're gonna mark everywhere we're gonna put a plank basically. So you're gonna do on the edge over there, we need a plank to go like that. And then every 50 centimeters, I want one to go like that. So if you mark that, then I can really quickly drill all the holes that's needed for that. Then afterwards we can screw the frames together and we'll be done in half an hour.
Yep, 25.
Make it 20.
The reason I'm putting the middle 3 planks flat on the bottom of the frame is because I want to have as much space for the rock wool as possible. This does increase the risk of seeing the rock wool through the fabric, but hopefully these planks will keep the rock wool far away enough so we won't see any of it later.
So these are the ceiling clouds. This is going to be the bottom. So it's gonna hang like this, the rock wool on top, and then fabric around them. Instead of making the sides with 20 centimeter thick wood and making them super heavy and expensive and clunky, I am going to basically cut small. This one's going to be 20 centimeters, that one's going to be 15. Going to cut small 20 centimeter slats that we're going to put it like that. And then that way we're going to create the entire skeleton of the frame. Hopefully this is not going to pull too much. Otherwise we just need to put in an extra one. I think as this is going to be the top, that's going to be fine. Now we need to connect those two together because this both is going to form one ceiling panel. We need 6 of those. So we got a little bit of work left to do.
Now you have to be precise when making the frames this way. Especially making sure everything is at 90-degree angles is very important, as you will unfortunately see later in this video.
Basically, this now is the left front half. So we need another one of this combo on the left side as well. And then that in the middle and in the back as well. So we need this combo 5 more times. I've got big ones on the inside because I want the most amount of insulation there. And then like that. This one over there. So then this is perfectly straight. And then on this side, you see that this sticks out a little bit. I am hoping that that is going to be a super cool design feature. Maybe it's going to be super ugly design feature. But then I've used these with screws, and then I can still put them to the same size or make these bigger or whatever. Let's just put them together, measure a lot of stuff, and put them on the ceiling. This is not final yet because fabric still needs to go on. But I do want it to be connected together already. That's not going anywhere. We just put in single screws over here. Is that when you push the top, the entire top frame went that way. So we need to make sure that this is straight. You can see it here. It's like half a centimeter. We're just going to push that back. And here also. We're going to add some screws into that. So this is the difficult part. I'm now figuring out on making them like these. Because this top and bottom is never going to be 100% straight. We're just going to figure out how we can make that exactly the same. And if we need to make that exactly the same. Because there's going to be a 15 centimeter gap. And it's only what? It's just going to be a small difference over here. As long as this is aligned. It's not pretty. Is it going to bother me? Yeah, probably. That is more than 270. This needs to screw in here. Because this is going to fasten it to the ceiling. And otherwise this is going to have a lot of stress on it. My idea was we mount plank number 1 on the panel. We have plank number 2 right on top of it. We pre-drill once So plank number 1 and plank number 2 have the holes in exactly the same spot. And then we put this plank on the ceiling with the anchors. We put the chains down, and exactly at the same spot that gravity takes that chain is going to be that
For the plank
hook on the panel. So keeping that as one is going to make it easier. It is going to make it uglier. So maybe this is Faith saying, maybe you should cut it in 2 pieces. So then maybe we'll do that. So we put them snug on there. Also, I need to make sure that I'm not tightening them all the way yet, because we gotta hang them, take them off, take them apart, put fabric on, put them back together, hang them again. Right now it's just the frames. Get the frames up, see if they align. If I need to do any changes there, then we can. And then we know that it's set.
Yeah.
Then I can put the fabric on them, put them back together, and then I know if I don't do anything crazy, they're going to be exactly how we put them up today. Thanks. 6 centimeters. And here it's 6. And then now, because I put them on top of each other, should have holes on both planks right at the same spot. So now if we put in hooks in there, we'll put in hooks in there, that should be exactly at the same spot. So that way we don't have to align 8 separate holes, but we just have to align 2 separate planks. Over here, it is important that, I'm saying it wrong actually, that these are pointed that way, because we are hanging them from these first. If we put them that way, then you put the cable, the chain on here, and it slips out. So these need to go like that, so we can first hang them like that, vertically, and then we can grab that part and hang it over there.
The big test coming up.
I haven't deadlifted in a while, but today, actually this is a bent over row, isn't it? No, I'm not going to do that, but this is how they go onto the ceiling. So we're going to screw this to the ceiling, and then we can still adjust these to hang them straight. Okay, so we grab the laser again to exactly measure where on the ceiling we should put this first beam. It takes a lot of time to get it exactly right, but hopefully we did our jobs right and we got it to where it needs to be. The moment of truth. First, put some screws in here already. Ooh, I've got holes in my pants, so screws are gonna come out like either this way or that way. All my money is in this studio build.
Yeah.
That like my clothes are just done. I've ripped another pair of pants as well. So it's yeah, it's now or never. Guys, if you want to support me, buy new pants and maybe build my dream studio, there's affiliate links down below. You can use those. And if you buy anything at Thomann or KMR, Germany or the UK, you get to get your gear and I get to get a little bit of a kickback from you. Also, on KMR, Audio, UK and Germany, you get 5% off with the code Thomas5. So pick yourself up some discount, build your dream studio and help me build my dream studio. You grab the left or you stay in the middle. Just grab my spot over here.
Yeah.
And then we align exactly over here. Moment of truth. Go. I won't screw it in completely, because then we can still fix it. 27 we said, right?
Yeah.
27? Ah, 24.
4.
That's 27.
I got that.
Just now at Jason's studio, he has like flush mounted ATC monitors and it's like a LED front wall, and it's like big, massive, precise thing. And the other guy, one of the builders, we were sitting there and we were like, yeah, it looks really nice, right? And he goes like, it's just a shame that one of the monitors is like 1 centimeter higher than the other. And everybody in the room got a heart attack. Everybody went like, wait, what? And he started laughing at me. Like, okay, never do that again. What we need to do is these holes and those, we need to know the length. This is another point where stuff can go wrong very easily. That is 180 and 180.7. These are the outer ones, so these are the ones all the way on the right and all the way on the left. So if we go 181 between the holes, that one in that corner, and then 180.7 from that one in that corner, and we should be fine. I've hung panels before, but like this project is a lot more than I've ever handled. So there's gonna be some mistakes at some point. Maybe you're screaming at your TV or your laptop or your phone like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It is what it is. Okay, then comes the moment we've all been waiting for.
The hanging of the panels. We're first getting them down underground vertically so we can easily lift them up to the chains in a second. Once that is done, we can lift the bottom of the panels up to the second row of hooks. By the way, even if you don't need the chains for the final hanging position, I feel hanging these panels without using chains is almost impossible. They really make your life a whole lot easier. And then we repeat the same process on the other side. Using the chains, we can really easily adjust their height, which will come in handy later when we start measuring the room and making our final adjustments.
We've hung them up over there. The only thing is that, yes, I calculated a gap in between them, but this is a very big gap, 16 centimeters, and then here on the side I wanted a gap, but that barely is a gap right now. So I kind of want to make more space over here and less space over here. Now luckily we put them on these beams, these planks on the ceiling, so we can just move all of the left ones 5 centimeters to the right ones 5 centimeters to the left, and then we're fixed. Another thing I need to fix is that this is slightly lower on the left. So that we need to fix, and the gap we need to fix, because now it's like buck teeth, which is nice if you want to mount stuff over here, but I don't think I like this for if I need to put an Atmos speaker up or need to put lights there, and I don't like such a big gap right on top of my head.
As I mentioned before, using the planks to hang it all makes these final adjustments way easier. It's a matter of measuring where the hooks need to go, pre-drill that and screw them into the correct position. Then we can easily put the panels back up and see if that is actually any better. With those done, we can move on to the second row of panels. These were slightly more difficult as there was a lot of measuring and calculating involved to get them in the right place and have a perfect gap between rows 1 and 2. The gap between rows 1 and 2 is going to be pretty tight. We had to hang them on the rear hooks first before pulling the front of the panels up to the ceiling. And we repeated all of those steps for the third row. Starting with the 5th plank that screws into the ceiling, measuring the ends to make sure that we are exactly in the middle before we commit and screw it into place. Then measuring the distance between ceiling plank 5 and 6 to make sure everything will be as straight as possible once we hang the panels. We again start by hanging the rear side of the panels first, but quickly moving on to the front, and after repeating the exact same process, all of the panels are up on the ceiling. Using the chains, we again lift them up to as high as they can possibly go, so we have as much headroom as possible, literally.
And the ceiling is framed up. So we've got all of the frames on the ceiling right now, and the mistake I made that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, which makes the gaps smaller than I wanted, is maybe you've noticed, but I wanted these to be 60 wide, the entire frame. I, by accident, made these inner planks 62 centimeters. I don't know what happened, but I made an error in my thinking. And now these are 66 centimeters wide, the frames per piece. So an entire thing is 132. And that makes that this gap and this gap is a lot smaller than I wanted them to be. Now, I don't think I minded that much, because actually I think if I made them as small as I wanted to make them, then I think the gaps would have been very, very big and they would have just annoyed me. And now I actually think it's nice and snug. Like over here, we've got, it's almost aligned. And over here, it's almost aligned. So that would be the things that I'm going to do right now. Now, they're not covered in fabric yet, so it's easy to get to all the hooks. So I can put them up a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and see where every line actually aligns. Yes. And then, after I do that, it is time for the actual sidewalls and the panels on the front, because those are going to continue from the ceiling down to the floor. So that will also be another set of these frames. So that is for another video. Thank you for watching this one. Next week I've got a bit of a different video, but the week after I will be back with the studio build. So thanks for watching. If you want to help me build my dream studio over here, check out the affiliate links down below and use the code Thomas5 for the KMR Audio Germany and UK shops. Leave a like, subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of it, and if you want to see more in-depth updates on the studio build, check out the virtual internship down below through the join button. Okay, that's it for me. I'll see you on the next video. Later. If you decide to make the panels exactly how I am doing, please do yourself a favor. Because right now, this needs to be 0.5 centimeter higher to be aligned with this. So what I need to do, because I screwed them in from the outside, these vertical planks, I don't know how to call them. But what would have been easier is if these holes would have been on the inside, because then right now I could unscrew them, pinch this together, and actually make that frame fit. So if you're doing this, learn from me, put them on the inside.